Well, to get a bit more analysis on the situation there, I'm joined now by our international affairs editor, Armen Georgian. Armen, we've come to the end of this ultimatum that was given by the Prime Minister. What happens next?
Well, the Prime Minister posted issued a statement a few hours ago saying that the last peaceful gate that had remained open was now firmly closed. So that's a very clear indication that he intends to pursue the offensive and, if possible, to take the town of Mekele, which is, of course, where the base of the TPLF is, the Tigray People's Liberation Front. It is a military prize as well as a symbolic prize for the Ethiopian government. The message further says that efforts will be made to ensure that the city will not be severely damaged. But obviously it's going to be difficult to actually verify that because of the media blackout in this war. Quite ominously, the statement from the Prime Minister also says people should stay at home and stay away from military targets. How exactly they know where the military target is outside is obviously a moot point. Doesn't sound particularly reassuring, but I think the general tone of this statement from Prime Minister Abiy is something that he's done before, which is to try to isolate the Tigrayan leadership, the leadership of the TPLF, and to essentially try to get civilians to disown the TPLF. He's been saying for a long time that the actions of the leadership is not in the interests of the civilian population as a whole.
Armen, what about the international community? How involved is it getting in this crisis, and what can or what should it be doing?
Well, the African Union has envoys which are in Addis Ababa at the moment. They're meant to be there for a 6-day visit, but crucially, they're not actually mediating between the two warring sides. So they're not allowed to visit the TPLF leadership. So essentially, they're meeting officials in Addis Ababa. That isn't really a mediation because they're not trying to get the two sides to do anything or to get a ceasefire going. The African Union, of course, has traditionally had to tread somewhat carefully with Ethiopia as Ethiopia hosts the African Union Commission. But having said that, we are seeing some countries, notably South Africa, now pushing for a more robust AU intervention in this crisis. But obviously, we'll have to see in the next few days whether that succeeds or not. What I was hearing from a source that I was speaking to in Addis Ababa last night was that diplomacy may have an option, may have a window, I should say, if there is there's a change in the military power dynamic. So in other words, if there's some kind of stalemate in the fighting, then perhaps diplomacy could have a chance. But obviously, if the military momentum is with the Ethiopian federal troops, then Prime Minister Abiy doesn't have much of an incentive to agree to international calls for a ceasefire.
Armen, thanks for that. France 24's Armen Georgian.